Hi everybody, this is Bob from Buckeye Sports Center, and today we're going to take a pretty deep dive in the process of buying a boat. A lot of people obviously a lot of people don't buy boats very often, and there's a lot of different, things that might be different than a car. And really, this video is to educate you in really a generic sense. This obviously is relative to Buckeye Sports Center. However, the idea behind this video is more of a just general knowledge, whether you're from Northeast Ohio where we are, or from Alabama or Florida or wherever. This process and general information should be educational for you no matter where you are. Certainly I'll have a couple Buckeye Sports Center plugs as we go through the video, but it's really designed to be just general and educational information. So we're actually going to divide this up into three sections, three videos. This first video, we're going to get into how buying a boat is different than buying a car. What are some of the differences in the servicing aspect, in the relationship with your dealer, as well as just comparing buying a new boat versus a used boat. In further videos, we'll dig into boat financing. We'll dig into boat depreciation and boat values. Just the general process of why buying from a local dealer is important, and other different advantages or disadvantages of selecting dealers. So let's dive into it and get started. So the first thing to remember as we go through kind of our little outline here, at the end of the day, boating is fun. It's a fun thing to do. Don't get bogged down with getting stressed out about buying or different aspects of it. At the end of the day, make sure this is a fun buying process. Remember that boating is fun. Once you have your boat, you forget about all that. So always remember that, number one. Now we're going to talk about how buying a boat is different than buying a car. In a car world, you can drive 30 minutes and there's maybe 5 or 6 dealerships for that particular brand. In the boat world, you're lucky if you have one for that particular brand. So you typically only have one dealer per region. So, and then there's obviously, because of economies of scale and different things, the inventory availability is dramatically less. In the car world, if the Jeep dealer down the street doesn't have the color you want, you can probably go to a different Jeep dealer and they'll have it. In the boat world, a lot of times you might have to go a long ways across the country to find something exactly what you want. So you might have to either settle for what's in dealer inventory, or plan ahead and possibly custom order the boat. That is one advantage of the boating world, is that a lot of times most manufacturers will allow you to customize and order the boat, whereas automotive, a lot of times you have to kind of either take what's in dealer inventory or take what's coming in from the dealer without a lot of customization to get it exactly how you want. Test drives are pretty rare in the boating world, obviously for things like a wakeboard boat or a really pricey, high performance boat. There are test drives, but in general, especially during the winter months and the fall months and different things like that, you're usually buying it without a test drive. A lot of dealerships, us included, are not located on the water, so you're going to have to do a little bit more research, and then hopefully your salesperson can really talk you through. We really take pride in giving customers accurate information of what their expectation should be, what this boat is going to do, how it's going to handle, without a test drive. And then the other thing that's a little different in the boating world versus the car world, boats are a little bit more dealer oriented, rather than manufacturer oriented. So a lot of times, a customer's buying a boat just because they like the dealer. The dealer could carry any number of different brands, and a lot of dealerships do carry multiple brands. It's a little bit more relationship based. It's a little bit more personal, and a lot of times it's maybe a little less brand loyalty. Certainly there are brand loyal customers, but it's maybe a little bit less brand loyal than an automotive world, and it's more good dealer service. That type of thing is, dealerships do sometimes change brands a little bit more than a car dealer would. Our next topic is going to be how the buying experience and the service experience is different. Car dealers will typically sell hundreds of cars a month. A boat dealer, if they're lucky, they'll sell hundreds of boats in a year. If the dealer is very good in the boat world, you typically feel a little bit more connected to the dealer. A lot of times you've built better personal relationships with the staff there. Typically, you're going to be using your boat dealer for service most of the time, because while there might be other brands that carry different engines. A lot of times the engine's connected to the interface in the computer or the dash, and in order to service that boat, you need to take it to a dealer who's certified for that brand of boat and the engine for that boat. So so a lot of times you are going to be kind of relying on that dealer for service, and it's more common. A lot of times you get an oil change for a car, you never take it back to the dealer. A lot of people don't. They'll take it to a lube place, and they might only take it back to their dealer if they have an emergency or something significant. But in a boat world, a lot of times you are going to be bringing it back multiple times, particularly at least once a year, if not more, if you have other service issues. So having that dealership, good relationships, is pretty important. So a big question that always comes up, should I buy a new boat, should I buy a used boat, especially with a new boat buyer or new person entering the market of boating. It's always a kind of a natural progression to say, I should buy used first. I'm going to kind of go through some of the differences, what to expect, again, buying new versus used. First thing I'll definitely encourage you to do is make a comparison, make a monthly payment comparison, interest rate comparison. Used boats have maintained a very high value for the past 15 years or so. Even in softer markets, used boat values are pretty high. So what we found is in some cases, brand new boat might be $25,000. A 3 or 4 year old used boat is still selling for 21 or 22, and you can get a better warranty on the new boat. You can get a better interest rate and payment options on the new boat. But maybe that person said, oh yeah, there's they found that 21 or 22,000 and didn't make that comparison. So I definitely encourage you to make a comparison to see what extra you're going to pay getting into something new with a warranty. The other thing I recommend, significantly is if you can, try to buy that pre-owned boat from a dealer if possible. We talked about some of the advantages and you're relying on the dealer. At the very least, if you aren't going to buy it from a dealer and you're going to buy it from an individual, budget, for some unexpected service costs in the first, 1 to 2 years. Paperwork, purchasing or selling a used boat to from private to private can be a little bit of a frustrating process. From the paperwork perspective, getting notaries, getting titles, getting bank financing done from a private to private is definitely a little bit more complicated. A lot of banks don't loan on boats necessarily, they'll loan on auto, and it kind of makes the process go a little slower than you'd expect, and it can create some frustration when you're going from a private buyer to a private seller. The other thing is, in particular with Buckeye, every trade-in that we get in, we obviously go through and we evaluate it, but almost always we're putting between $1,000 and $3,000, sometimes more, in order to get that boat up to the level that we feel good about selling it for. So if you're buying it from a private seller, you very well, might, maybe you've got it a little cheaper, but those add-ons were not done, or those extras were not, that battery that's been sitting in there for 5 years wasn't replaced, the tires on the trailer that were 7 years old weren't replaced, bearings and stuff like that we typically will do when we take a trade-in typically is not going to be done. So that's why I tell you to budget a little bit for that extra. New boats certainly do have a few minor warranty problems, but the difference is those issues are at no cost to you. The customer, while used boats are certainly all the customer's responsibility. So there definitely are some good deals to be had on used. The used boat market, again, for the past 15 years has been very, very good, good for the seller. So just make sure to do your comparisons, make sure to, again, in a perfect world, buy from a dealer if you can, a local dealer. That way, if you do break down or you do have a problem, you at least have somebody that should be giving you some type of priority service, because we see it all the time. Customer buys a boat from a private seller from 3 states away. They have an issue on July 4th weekend, and most boat dealerships at that point are 4 to 6 weeks out for service, and they're kind of stuck without help. So so that just kind of gives you some differences on buying a new boat versus used. Okay, in conclusion, the first section of this video, we went through how buying a boat is different than buying a car, how the service experience is different between the two processes, as well as differences between buying a new boat and a used boat. So in further videos, and I encourage you to watch, we're going to go over how boat financing works, depreciation values, and several other topics as we move forward. So thanks again for watching video number 1 with us at Buckeye.